Okay, believe it or not, that was not the intro.
Meet the country stars of tomorrow. This is b4Nashville, the podcast. Here's your host, George Davis.
Well, I can tell you right now, Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will, and it has happened tonight. I apologize, first off, to Ty for the fact that we're late getting on, and to all of our watchers and those who have been so patiently waiting. I hope we have had some. I've not got any dirty messages from anybody going, what the heck's going on? Yeah. But, we kind of had some issues, but we're on now. This is Ty Clark, and again, this is b4Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow for the country fans today. It's powered by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuners for professionals and amateurs alike. If you want to check them out, go to gogotuners.com. Phenomenal guitar tuners, and I'm not a guitarist, can't tune a guitar, but with this one, I can tune it, and it sounds good, at least to my ears anyway. So, so go check them out, gogotuners.com. Ty Clark, Ty, how you doing, man?
Man, I am doing great, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. We're going to get this thing rolling one way or another. So let's just jump right in, man. Take our boots off and hop in with both feet. Tell me about Ty Clark growing up. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into music and figure out that's what your life was headed to? All those good things.
Yeah, man. So I grew up actually really close to like the Northwest, like Louisiana state line, and Louisiana and Texas state line. And, just really got into music. I mean, I got into music singing and stuff at a young age. Didn't really start playing guitar and stuff until really college. But man, I always kind of joked with people and said, I bugged everybody with my singing for the longest time, and I figured I'd learn how to play guitar too. So that's kind of what sparked a bunch of it. But man, my mom, sang in church and stuff. I didn't sing much in church or anything like that. It was more just in the shower, maybe in the back seat or something like that. And my mom always kind of just was, very, she wasn't pushy by any means with it, but she was always very supportive. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Both of my parents were just like, hey, if that's something kind of you want to do, then, let us know. And anything, man, they were always super supportive, just with sports or music or whatever it was. Like, hey, is this what you want to do? Well, then you're going to do it, so... But yeah, I think it was, like I said, I'm always just kind of sang with people and stuff. And then I was in college. I went to Louisiana Tech University. I graduated from high school in Shreveport and then went to Louisiana Tech in Ruston. And we were just coming home one night and we were all sitting there just kind of talking about it and stuff, saying, man, we should learn how to play guitar. I was with two of my roommates, and we, I think my buddy hopped on and just said, ordered a little crappy guitar off of eBay or something. Then he got it in a couple weeks later, and I went in my room and started playing it and did, I had a Marty Schwartz beginner guitar app. And I don't even think you can get that anymore, to be honest with you. I know he had tons of YouTube videos and stuff, man, but that guy basically taught me how to play guitar. Like, it was over an iPhone app, and I went in there and just started playing. I mean, obviously, you learn... When you're first learning guitar, it's, just simple stuff, really just chord structure and kind of getting that muscle memory down and learning your strum patterns and everything like that. And I think that's really just kind of how it broke it down so easy, man. And that's just kind of how I learned. And then started playing some songs by the campfire with some buddies back home in Shreveport area, and it sprouted into something that I never could have imagined. Started writing some songs after probably my friends got tired of me playing the same 4 songs over and over again around the campfire. But yeah, I started writing some songs, and I think one of the coolest things, man, was whenever the first time I played it for him, I wanted a completely unbiased opinion. And so I'm sitting there, and then I played like one of my very first songs I ever wrote. I think it was called Me Being Me. And they were like, dang, once I got done with it, they're like, dang, who sings that one? And I was like, I do. And they said, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I wrote that. And they're like, no way. And they just couldn't wrap their head around it at the time. Just, I don't know, I guess because we didn't have a lot of friends who were musicians and songwriters and stuff back then. But yeah, and I think that's was a sort of an eye-opening moment, like, hey, this could be this. I might be onto something here. And so a few short years later, I'm here in Nashville, man, and kind of doing my thing and writing and playing and getting out there, getting as much exposure as possible.
So as far as formal training, I mean, from what you're saying, probably the most formal training you had was Marty Schwartz and his app.
Well, I can't take all the credit on that because, I mean, whenever I was first learning, absolutely, yeah, it was just me, just YouTube and, kind of learning there. But once I got to Nashville, I think I'd kind of taught myself everything that I felt like that I could teach myself, and I'd kind of almost felt like I'd hit a plateau. And so I started looking around online and, was reading a bunch of reviews about different guitar teachers and stuff. And then I went to, ended up deciding on a guy named Shane Lamb. He is with Green Hills Guitar Studio, and he owns that place. And went to him, and man, like, the wealth of knowledge this guy has in his brain is just absolutely unreal, and he was able to pass some of that along to me, and I've tried to absorb as much of it as possible. But man, this guy would he just had a different way of really just relating music just to life in different certain situations. And I always told everybody that's the cheapest therapy I've ever paid for, man. I would go and play like $40 a week or something. I'd go in there for a 30-minute or an hour session, and sometimes we wouldn't even pick up a guitar. I mean, we would still find ways to incorporate music and stuff, but it was just a really, really awesome experience. I highly recommend anybody that is looking for a guitar teacher, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, whatever, doesn't matter, man. You need to go check out my guy Shane Lamb, because he's awesome, and I really learned a lot from him. So yeah, like I said, I can't take all the credit for it because he taught me a lot, and This definitely progressed. He was a big part of that as to how or where I'm at with playing guitar now.
So from playing guitar, you're writing music, and what kind of, when you first started out, what was your thought as far as writing a song? What was your, your MO for writing a song? How did you do that in the beginning? And has it changed since then?
Yeah, I think I've become so much more, I think, constructive or critical of what I'm writing, and I almost overthink it sometimes. Back then, I wish, honestly, and I tell myself, like, I've obviously evolved a lot as a songwriter, and I feel like I'm way better now than I used to be, but I almost want to go back to that sometimes, because it was just innocent, man. Like, it was just like, I'm just writing stuff, and I don't know the do's and don'ts and the rights and wrongs and stuff. I'm just writing just pure stuff, and now I almost, like I said, just kind of get almost too constructive of it, and I'll dive too deep into it, and then I have to take a step back, and then it's like, okay, and then we'll get into it. And then there's others that obviously just fall on paper, but I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, I think. And like the stuff that I was writing back then, like I said, man, it was just, I think it was just pure, and it was just really innocent, because I didn't know any better. I was sort of ignorant to the structure of songs and everything like that. But once I learned, then it obviously got better. But it's kind of just a cool thing to think back on too.
So do you do a lot of writing on your own, or do you I mean, in Nashville, there's co-writes going on all the time. You get into
all
the co-writes? Is that kind of what's helping you out?
100%. It's funny, while we were having our technical difficulties, I was actually talking to a friend of mine that we were setting up a write, like, as we were going through that whole deal right there. So I love the solo writes, because of the fact that I can really just express Ty, I guess, on just the solo writes. But then the co-writes, man, there's something just absolutely awesome about the experience of getting in a room with 1, 2, 3 of your buddies and sitting down, and you may go in with an idea, or they may come in with an idea, and you sort of kind of leave that idea open to interpretation, because you want them to have that creative side of the brain going, and just going, okay, what do we think about this? And if they go, oh, we could do this, that may not be what you were thinking. That may be completely out of left field, and you go, wow, okay, I like that idea. Let's run with that. So it makes you a better songwriter in general, just because you get in a room with, 2 or 3, like I said, 2 or 3 of your buddies, and they're just throwing stuff out on paper, and you're like, they've got all these great ideas, and you may be sitting there one day and you may be having an off day or something. You're like, man, I don't feel like I've contributed at all on this. Now, I've had plenty of those, and I've had other people tell me that, like they're like, well, I don't feel like I really did much. I'm like, no, you're here, you're helping. We're still bouncing ideas, we're brainstorming. That's part of co-writing. I look back on it and seeing just the solo writes that I started with, and how much you grow just as an artist, just in general, and how much you evolve. And co-writing is a huge, huge part of that. So I've got, I think, 2 or 3 this week. I've got a couple next week, and then I was just setting the other one up with my friend Brooke for whenever she gets back in town. So I try to write with anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter what genre you're in. I love it all. I love every type of music that you can listen to. Music's supposed to be felt, not just heard. So if a certain genre, whether it be a rock song and it's got something that just really hits you, then you feel it. You like it. But I mean, I just don't put myself in a box, and so I try to write with anybody. Whether it be country rap, country pop, rock, any of this stuff, man. I just like it all.
I think that's one of the good things about Nashville, because even though it's so known for country music, it's not pigeonholed to country music inside the confines of Nashville city limits, so to speak. A lot of people don't know that, but there's rock musicians that come out of Nashville. There's rock musicians that go to Nashville.
Yeah. I think my buddy that I write with quite a bit, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Greta Van Fleet, but they're so I'm pretty sure that I might go out on a limb there and say that they're from around this area, but I'm pretty sure that they have a house here, and they come in and they record here and they do some stuff like that. Obviously they're going back and forth, but my buddy sat next to him on a plane one day. They were leaving Nashville, and it's like, are they either leaving or coming back home? I can't remember. And he just sat there and said they're just super cool dudes. But yeah, they're around. I mean, you've got rock. I've got a friend that's in the pop scene, and she's here and she's thriving, man. She loves it. So
like I said, I think that's one of the great things about it. You've got all kinds of people. You got, Kid Rock, for instance. He's got the restaurant, the bar. He's got a place in Nashville, and then you've got people like a good friend of mine, Brett Michaels, former frontman, still fronts Poison. He does some stuff in Nashville. Jack White, from the White Stripes, has got a studio, and all that. So there's a lot of that in there. I mean, it's not just country music, and I think that's an awesome thing for you to be able to step out of that and not pigeonhole yourself.
Absolutely.
And you talk about country rap. You've got people like. Gosh, his name just escaped me, and I cannot believe that.
You got Colt Ford.
Colt Ford's down there. You've got, I've got a friend, Carly Rogers, and she's got 2 Go Records with him, and his name's like right on the tip of my tongue.
Ryan Upchurch. You're talking about Upchurch the Redneck.
Upchurch, yes.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, guys like that, and then you got, and it just spreads out. That's the cool thing about it, too, because they will come to Nashville to do stuff, but then they're outside in other areas. It might be LA, it might be Atlanta, it might be Chicago, it might be St. Louis. I mean, you don't know, but they're all over the place, and I think that's just an awesome thing. And like I said, one of the things I think people don't understand, the scope of music in Nashville, and how wide it is just beyond country. Yes, it is. It's known as Music City.
The home of country music. Yeah, it's one of those types of things. Yeah, but there's still so much out there other types of. I mean, we get this reputation, I guess, of like being a country music town, but it truly is Music City. Like there's all genres here.
Yeah, and I mean, as you're going through, who were some of the influences that you've had as far as your music goes, and whatever?
Man, I was always, and I think these 2 guys, I'm pretty sure that they were good friends for a long time, and I'm wanting to say that maybe one guy got the other guy the start, but Chris Ledoux was such a big influence for me whenever I was a kid, man. And I loved all of his music because it felt good, and it was always like some happy songs. He had a couple that were some tear jerkers, you know what I mean? Like This Cowboy's Hat was obviously a big one, but man, he had some other songs like 8-Second Ride, Call of the Wild, Cadillac Ranch. Like I asked for a greatest hits Chris Ledoux CD when I was like 8 years old. My parents were like, all right, yeah, sure, that's cool. But then Garth Brooks has always kind of been, a big, as I look at him as, stage presence. You see that he's got an awesome voice and he writes amazing songs, but you look at that guy on stage and he is an entertainer. And so I think that I take a little bit, as far as these influences and these inspirations, I take a little bit, of what they have and put it into my bag of tricks. Like, hey, this is what I would kind of do, in this certain situation. But Chris Ledoux, the songs that he wrote and, that he was singing on stage was great. Garth Brooks is just stage presence, just overall as an artist. And then there's another lyricist out there that I try to tell as many people about as possible. I don't know if they really. There's a lot of people. There's a big fan base for it, but then there's some other people that maybe just don't listen to it the same way that I do. But it's Guy Clark. He was an old timey songwriter, man, and then my dad brought me up on Guy Clark, and that was one of those with the greatest hits album from him, and literally just jammed it in the car. So that's probably top three is, as far as lyrics and putting the ways that words fit on paper and melodically and everything. And Guy Clark really did it for me. Chris Ledoux, just his overall just air about him. And then Garth Brooks with his, just same situation. Him and Chris Ledoux kind of are right there at the 1-2 for me.
Right. And I noticed that one thing we pointed out earlier whenever we were having our issues, my hat and your flag kind of matched. So I'm wondering
absolutely.
If it was Granger, one of your
Granger Smith, little Earl Dibbles Jr. there
little
for you.
Earl, yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah, this hat actually came from Granger. So
did it really?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could say the same thing about that one, but I don't think it did.
And so yeah, I mean it's I've known him for quite a while, and know his tour manager Chris. Chris and I are text buddies, I guess you call it.
Nice.
It's not when we communicate nowadays, but we've and he's put a big. He's one of those artists that I like. That's kind of I would almost call him. b4Nashville is geared toward independent country artists. Mm-hmm. And even though Granger's on he's on Broken Bow, one of their subsidiaries, I think, or he may be on Broken Bow itself. But I still look at him as an independent because when I first started talking to him, he was independent. He was doing his boot walk where he walks 100 miles in 5 days or whatever. And that was the first interaction I had. And then every year when you do the boot walk, I was always one of the calls that would, he would make. And it was
that's awesome, dude.
So cool to see his growth, and as close as we've gotten. And I've gotten the chance to interview him and talk to him, and that's always
neat. I think Bury Me in Blue Jeans was probably one of my favorite songs by him. Man, that's like, can't go wrong with that one on the playlist.
That was one of the best, Backroad Songs, one of my favorites that he did, just because of what it's about. And he's such a down-to-earth guy. We interviewed him one time, and my wife was with me, and she asked him a question. Something I was working on at the time had backroads in it, and she said, "So what's the one backroad that you always remember? Or that you consider your favorite?" And it was the one that takes him right up to took him right up to his door.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. But anyway, I digress. I kind of got off there a little bit on Granger because I'm such
I'm that like I've seen some videos and stuff is, I think they're like YouTube videos or something, and one that sticks out in my mind the most, like that just shows you the type of person that he is. I think there was something happened, and I don't think the girl she either couldn't get tickets to the show or she couldn't get off work or something like that. And so and he found out about it. Maybe she tweeted it or something, and he found out about it, and he drove his bus to where that place where that girl works at, and was like, "Hey, I heard you couldn't get tickets to the show. I heard you couldn't get off work, whatever it was." And he like went to see her, and she was like just so appreciative. But it's the little stuff like that, man. You know that's just really cool, and it makes me more of a fan seeing it. I'm sure she's just was over the moon excited for something like that to happen. But just good to see good people out there.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about Garth. Garth is in that same arena, so to speak. He's very in tune with his fans, and there's a lot of them that are, and I think that makes such a great artist. And if you were to go back, say, 10 years and could talk to yourself 10 years ago, what's one piece of advice that you would give yourself as it pertains to music and where you're at now? Something just, you want to pay attention to Garth Brooks. You want to pay attention to Granger Smith, things like that.
I think probably back then I was a little bit more hesitant to do things 10 years ago, I know. So maybe it's one of those things, just don't hesitate. Hey, don't be scared to just jump in with both feet, because I'm an analytics guy. Like, I want to look at all the numbers. I'm sort of the cautious type in a sense there. And I've kind of tried to, there's sometimes where I have to tell myself, hey, don't overthink it, just do it, And I think that's, probably one thing for sure. Well, and as far as to myself as a musician, just write the stuff that you want to write and keep that. Don't lose that, because whenever you start trying to write a song for radio, that's when you kind of lose sight of who you are as a person. And I probably did lose that for a little bit, but then I had somebody tell me that, like actually sit me down and, give me that piece of advice. And that's one thing that I really cherished a lot from that person. And they said, write the stuff that you want to write, and just like with the song, She's Like Louisiana, and there could have been a handful of other songs that could have been written or chosen or whatever it was, but that's the song that was so true to me and who I was, that's the one that, I was like, hey, I'm definitely putting this one out, because it talks about home for me, and it really shows some love to my family and support and fan base back home in Louisiana. So when it came to that, it was definitely choosing that one. But yeah, write the stuff that you want to write and don't hesitate. Just do it. Just jump. So
you said something that kind of brings up. I mean, folks that watch and listen to the podcast know that my day job is in radio. That's what I do, and it's what I've done for 38 years, 37 years now, off and on. And you said don't write for radio. Do you feel like that radio kind of dictates a lot of, and I've got a lot of radio friends, and some of them I've made mad when I ask questions like this, but they get over it pretty quick. Do you feel like that radio dictates what you should write in order for them to
in some cases, yeah, in some cases. Because, and I mean, I don't hear a lot of, and this is me personally, this is based solely opinion, I feel like I don't hear a lot of maybe like ballad style songs on the radio, or on country radio. These days you're hearing everything that's upbeat, and I like that. But I love writing the sad songs too. So that's probably why I'm a little biased in that category there. But I love writing the ballady style, sad songs, and but I feel like I don't hear it a whole lot. I mean, I was very blown away, and this one in particular just absolutely sticks out of my mind. And it was Burning House. Whenever Cam put Burning House out, this was a while back, obviously, but that song just absolutely took over, and like you heard it numerous times a day, and but it was just so good because it made you feel something. Now, when do I start tapping my foot whenever When It Rains It Pours comes on by Luke Combs. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm listening to that, and any of these upbeat country songs that are out there. But yeah, in a way, I mean, maybe I feel like it gets into your head and you say, well, maybe it's too much like this, maybe it's too much like that, and maybe it couldn't be a radio song, but it's more just a song for you. And that's just kind of the direction I went. Maybe I will be on the radio, maybe I won't, but I'm going to write the songs that I like writing, and maybe one of them will catch on.
Do you feel like that radio is more what the guys that are picking the music and playing it as opposed to what the listeners want to hear? Do you think that's kind of part of it too? Because you mentioned Cam and how that song was taken off, and another good example. And I mean, I'm not the decision maker, but we're guilty of this too. Morgan Wallen, I mean, he went through what he went through with the slur and losing everything, but his numbers just went crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that radio picked up, hey, this all is going to translate into revenue is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
You got this guy that's just selling stuff left and right, and do you kind of feel like that they're not paying attention to those that they need to pay attention to? I have my own opinion of that. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what an artist, how they would look at that.
I mean, it seems like, and not to be like, I guess, like too judgmental or anything like that, but there's been, a few times, and I mean, I can't even think of one right off the top of my head right now, but I just know that I've maybe been riding in the car sometimes, and it's in any genre, not just country, but, you listen to a song and you go, I know a lot better songs out there than that. Like that, not that I wrote, but other songs that maybe I've gone to, different places or whatever. But it's like you just kind of ask yourself that question. And kudos to those people. I'm not here to hate on anybody. I'm not that. I try to be the most positive person in the world. But there's sometimes I hear it and I go, all right, who is it that's picking this? Who is it that's dictating what's going on here and what's not? And you have guidelines, you have rules that you got to follow by and all that good stuff. So I totally get that. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like that there's a lot of good music out there that gets overlooked on a daily basis. And whether it be from a signed artist, whether it be from an independent artist, whoever it is, you can go to any songwriter's night on any given day of the week down here in Midtown, and you can hear some songs that you say that song needs to be on the radio like now, because it makes you feel something. It kind of goes back to what I was saying there. It's like, instead of it just being heard and you just kind of just like, okay, all right, next song, whatever, you want to listen to songs that make you feel something. That's what my playlist on my Spotify playlist looks like anyway.
Yeah. And
each time, and it's funny, we literally have playlists because they make you feel a certain way. Like I have a workout playlist, so I know that my workout playlist is going to be motivational sounding music, and it's going to get me pumped up. It's going to get my adrenaline going. And then there's some days we have beach music because you want to feel like you're at the beach when you're at the beach, and so you want to relate. You want your music to relate to that as well, and you can do that with anything. If you're maybe in a down mood or something, you're going to listen to something a little bit more slow or mellow or something like that. You're not going to listen to a hardcore rock song if you're like kind of down in the dumps about something because you want to feel something, So that's probably the long way around the barn for that, but it's with the whole radio thing, man, it's a touchy subject, I guess.
Right. And again, I'm not, I'm not hating on radio. I'm a part of radio. I've been guilty of doing the same thing, but I just look at it from a different point of view, I guess, than a lot of folks do. And, and thinking that, I guess because I'm a part of the industry, I can say those kinds of things, and hopefully they won't, blackball me forever. But,
you're good.
It's kind of like if you if you vote for one guy to be president and you don't vote for the other, and the other guy gets it, my philosophy is you can't complain about it.
Yeah.
Or if you don't vote at all, you can't complain.
Or if you don't vote at all, yeah, you just yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of that thing. But I mean, I love radio. I love what we do, and I just feel like that there's, like you said, there's so much music out there that needs to be given out. Needs to be put out to folks. And speaking of putting music out to folks, your latest song is called "She's So Louisiana."
She's Like Louisiana, yeah.
She's Like Louisiana. And I've got that song. We're going to play that real quick. We'll give folks a taste of that. Let them hear She's Like Louisiana. Then we'll talk about the backstory behind the song after that. Sound like a deal?
Sounds great, sir. All
right, here we go. This is Ty Clark with She's Like Louisiana on b4Nashville.
I've seen flatlands of Odessa and the hills of Tennessee. Nothing can compare quite like the way she looks to me. From the banks of Carolina on out to the west coast, there's a whisper down in my soul, keeps bringing me back home. She's like Louisiana, tastes like Baton Rouge, Jackson Square on a summer night with a touch of Delta blues, where the flow red makes her split and it beats the mouth of the Mississippi. She's hard to love, but I've come to understand her. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. I've been coming to my senses when I take a look at the view. Love as long as I-49 trigger port to the fight. My head starts spinning like a hurricane when the voice of an angel calls my name. Burning flame inside my soul keeps bringing me back home. She's like Louisiana, tastes like Baton Rouge, Jackson Square on a summer night with a touch of Delta blues, where the flowing red makes her split and it beats the mouth of the Mississippi. She's hard to love, but I've come to understand her. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. Like mustard, oh, I'm so sweet. Beauty like Spanish balls in a tree with the sun going down in the background. Like Louisiana, tastes like Baton Rouge, Jackson Square on a summer night with a touch of Delta blue, where the flow red makes her split and it beats the mouth of the Mississippi. She's hard to love, but I've come to understand her. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. She's like Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana.
All right, that's Ty Clark, and She's Like Louisiana on b4Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Now, you said earlier that song takes you back home.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my critique, okay?
Okay.
The thing that I like about that song the most is the simplicity.
Okay.
Not a lot of instrumentation. I mean, it's all pretty much sounds like, and I'm throwing it out there. I'm a guy that used to play drums, and so I don't know anything about music. I just know how to get loud. But it sounds like there's probably 3, maybe 4 chords throughout the whole song that you're using.
Yeah, it's not much. Literally, I mean, that's kind of the way that the song is very simple in that sense. And then I went to my buddy Jacob Garner, and he's the one who's playing guitar in it. You know, he tracked all the guitar except for bass. My other buddy Bud Davis, and then Brian Toole was drums, and him and Jake produced it, and they kind of put their spin on things. But yeah, man, it's very, as far as just simplicity, it's 4 chords pretty much the entire time through that, and then it's just, I think we're still playing a G. But it's just like it's more of a barred G that's a little bit further down the neck, and then it comes back up to the F, C, and then it goes to just a regular G there. So, I mean, it's really, I guess you could probably narrow it down to just 3 chords then, but yeah, it's very, right, simple in that sense. And, Jake and Brian and Bud really kind of knocked it out of the park from there. They threw a bunch of other cool little elements and stuff on it. So yeah, man, I was really, really impressed the way with everything turned out. It's
a good song. I mean, don't misunderstand me. I'm just the type where I'll listen for certain nuances in the song. Mm-hmm. I mean, the lyrics are really good. Where did the lyrics come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like you live it and you see it, and so those are things that just kind of fall on paper. And right. Whenever I was a kid, man, my brother and I both were playing travel ball. So we were all over, especially all over the state of Louisiana, really all over just the South, but then usually whenever we got done playing ball for the summer, it was kind of cool because our grandparents would meet us with their RV at our last tournament, and they would already have this trip planned. And they're like, all right, 2 weeks or a week, whatever it is. And we would just take off. And so we've gone to Florida, we went to Colorado, went to California, like in an RV, and we just jumped on, and we're just like, all right, cool. So I got the chance to travel a lot as a kid, and you see a lot of different things, and then but there's nothing really like you're coming back home and you're seeing these things, and you're like, man, okay, it kind of just reminds you of more of, I guess, it's a simpler time, especially now. One thing that I always used to tell people about Nashville is like, man, the best way I can describe it is just it's really fast. Whereas I go back home to Louisiana, and they kind of have this they have this term back there. It's just like laissez-faire, like, which is kind of just like let it ride, just let it go, man, and just be chill. And so you go back home, and you just kind of are able to breathe, and it's like, whew, okay, you're able to kind of unwind and stuff, and you see your family, and everything is just really, it's just all kind of comes together there. And so I thought, what better way than to honor that than to write a song about it. So, in the chorus of it, it says, where the flowing red makes her split and feeds the mouth of the Mississippi. The Red River, there's Shreveport, Bossier. Shreveport's on the west side, Bossier City's on the east side there. And then it's split basically by the Red River. Well, then the Red River, it flows down further south, and it flows into the Mississippi River. And that's where that line comes from. Right. So it's, that was cool. My brother always points that one out. He's like, man, that's such a cool line. And then, she's like Louisiana. She tastes like Baton Rouge. You've got your food that's down there. Like, Louisiana is really known for their, the Cajun Creole kind of food, still like that. That's got the French vibes in it and stuff too. So, man, there's just a bunch of, like, I just really threw in a bunch of Louisiana references and stuff that, like I said, I've lived. And love as long as I-49 Shreveport to the Bayou. I-49 starts up in Shreveport, or starts a little bit north of Shreveport, and it runs further up into Arkansas, but it literally stretches pretty much the length of Louisiana too. So all the way down in South Louisiana, down there in the Bayou, where you get lost pretty easy down there.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, and you can just make the references, as far as, making the analogies, I guess, about the song with saying, she's like Louisiana. It's nothing like coming home. And you can leave it open to interpretation, or I did anyway. So, you can relate that as, you're coming home to your state, or you're coming home to, your girl, it's just, there's a certain comfort in coming home.
Right. And, one of the, again, country music, one of the things I love about it is just the relatability of the songs. I mean, like we were talking about Granger's Backroad song, and we were talking about some other songs earlier, and just how that relates to everyday life. I mean, like you said, you can take that song and you can put any state you want to in there, but it's all the same thing. It boils down to, you want to be back home. You want to be back to the familiar. Yeah. And whether it's, like you said, Nashville is kind of a go type city. And you may go to an LA or a New York, but the familiarity of that to you just kind of makes it all seem not so fast anymore.
Yeah.
For what LA and New York would be,
Exactly.
That may be a kind of a stretch, but I think that, the point is there. And
right. I definitely think I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. The song itself is so good. It just really brings out that homey feel.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I was going for. So hopefully we nailed it.
And now, have you had the opportunity to hear that song on the air, on radio, or anywhere else yet?
So I've got a couple of people that they did. It was Boots of Europe. They did the country radio. It was Country Hits UK. They've spun it a couple of times out there. We entered it into like this song competition and with Boots of Europe, which is just an Instagram page, and they run radio and stuff like that out there. And then, like I said, submitted to them and ended up winning single of the month for February. And was super excited about that. And so they were, they've been spinning it a little bit out there. But as far as anything in United States and stuff like that, no, I haven't had a chance just yet. So
I'm surprised stations in Louisiana haven't picked that up, because a lot of times if there's a reference to a state, they will jump on that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I've talked to a couple of them, trying to just throw it out there, and it's maybe it's sometimes a little hard to get into talk to somebody, whoever I need to there, but still trying, not giving up.
Right. Well, I've got some friends in radio in Louisiana, so we'll talk after we get off here. How's that?
That sounds like a fantastic idea, man.
And
you
may know
that.
him, I don't know. Chandler Batch says, "Hey, it's my guy Ty." So, hey, Chandler.
What's up, Chandler? What's up, buddy?
Jake was on here earlier. I don't know what was his last name there. Jake Lancaster.
Oh yeah, that's my buddy. Man, sure. I've got an awesome story about Jake. He's I met him. So this is completely off the cuff here. Just an off the wall topic here. But I met Jake. I used to have to go to bed with the TV on every night. Right. Okay, like that was just like, and I'm just a habit every single night. And at this point, I'm like 24, 25-year-old male, and I'm going, man, you need to break yourself of this habit, Ty. So what do? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sell this TV that I have in my room, and that way I'll break myself just cold turkey. And so I think I put it on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist or something, and Jake reaches out to me and was like, hey, man, I'm a football coach, and he's going to hate me for forgetting this, but I can't remember where he's a football coach at, but somewhere in town. And so he comes to my apartment in Bellevue, and I was like, man, what are you doing with this? And he's like, man, we're watching game tape. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, do you put it on like a DVD or anything like that? And he's like, yeah, well, we do that, or we'll, run it from the computer or whatever. And so I had a DVD player upstairs too. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw this in as well, man. Just take it all. I just need to absolutely break myself of this habit. So I sold him. I don't remember how much it was. It was maybe $100 or something, and if that. But Jake and I have been friends ever since then, man. We always keep in touch with each other. It was just a weird happenstance type thing, and we've been homies since then.
That's a great story, though. I mean, it's so weird how you meet people like that, and then the friendships that continue.
Very much so. Yeah.
So, what about what are you listening to? This is kind of a segment of the show I call the iPhone Top 10. I like to find out what artists are listening to so that you kind of know, so people listening and watching can go, okay, yeah, I'm kind of in line with that. I can, and hopefully a lot of times it takes them to listen to your music too, because they go, hey, we listen to the same stuff. So
yeah, man, dude, if you saw my my Spotify playlist here, it's literally all over the place, and I don't there's one time, like, I'm looking at it right now, and I think the top ones is Sober as a Drunk, Cameron Marlowe, and then In His Arms, the new one that Miranda Lambert, Jack Ingram, and I think John Randall came out with, and then Emily Wise Band, Psychopath, John Mayer, Into the Bar by Garrett Jacobs, Emily Wise Band, Salt, Your Bartender, Morgan Wallen, Move Me by Emmy and Rabbi Rec. Like, that's the friend of mine that I write with quite a bit, and I was actually one of the writers on that song, and they released it, and I'm just like, man, it makes you want to dance. It gives you those Miami vibes, and I'm just like, hey, okay, cool. And then the next one is, like a different, like, slow country song, and it's just all over the place. But man, it's our main thing that probably the top right now. I had, hope that don't start playing. I had that new Cameron Marlowe song stuck in my head for probably a week straight. It's called Sober as a Drunk, and that's the latest one that I've got saved on here. And it starts, and I may repeat it a couple of times, and I'm just belting it out in the car as I'm driving down the road. But yeah, man, it's all over the place. I'm glad it's all over the place. Actually, I don't wish it was stayed within a certain genre there. But man, it's just whatever you're feeling, man. We've got Southern Justice on there, Garrett Biggs, Michael Pace, Brian Frazier. I've just got those are all buddies of mine too, and I feel like we all have a very good support group, and we all support each other's music. So hopefully they're doing the same thing with mine, and they're running it in their car too. So.
Well, we'll find out from Southern Justice, because they're going to be on here in a couple of weeks, I think.
Really?
So I can't remember the exact date. Yeah, I've hit those guys up too. Instagram is my best source for getting artists.
Yeah, those are my roommates, actually. Southern Justice is Nate and Taylor. I live with both of them. Yeah, so those are my guys, man. Those are Taylor and I originally got to know each other. We both worked at the Opry for a while. We were like the runners, the barbacks, and me and him became good friends. And he was like, "Who's?" I think one of the first questions he asked me was my name, and then the second question was, "Do you play music?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a country singer." And he's like, "Who's your favorite country artist?" And I said, "Probably Eric Church." And he goes, "We're going to get along just fine," because he's like crazy Eric Church fan. I think for the last 4 years of Halloween, he's dressed up as Eric Church.
I gotta
just consecutively, yeah. And you need to, bring it up to him whenever they hop on, because he has the glasses, he has the leather jacket, and it's priceless, man. And he somewhat kind of, whenever he gets all dressed up in his to-do and everything, he kind of favors Eric Church a little bit. But so we all just kind of became friends, and then our leases they were at their apartment, I was at mine, and it all kind of just came together. And we're golfing one day, like, hey, we should all just get an awesome house and make sure we have a studio in it and stuff. And we're like, yeah. So it all kind of came together, man. And now those are my guys, man. They're awesome.
That's great. Yeah, they were one that I had to work on a bit. We had to get the date figured out, because we had a date, and then they came back and said one of the guys, I don't remember which one, wasn't going to be able to make it, so we rearranged it. And matter of fact, let me see. I'll tell you, that way you'll know. I know it's April because I'm crazy visiting now. April 15th. What would be tax day? Yeah. Except for this year, it's in May now.
Yeah, I would say they pushed it back, I think.
Yeah.
But
so they'll be on that day. But I'm super excited, and
they're great dudes, man.
I love finding all these artists. I've got a lot of friends that do this, and we just kind of collaborate on who's on the show, and sometimes won't even collaborate, and we'll wind up with having the same artist on in the same week. It's just crazy. If there was one song, well, let me take the if out there. What is the one song that you go, man, why did I not write that song?
Man, there's one that right now that every time I hear it still get chill bumps. And it's a girl, her name's Casey Tyndall. She wrote a song called Middleman. And I heard it for the first time. She did Song Suffragettes, and I just saw, like, I'm subscribed to him on YouTube or whatever, and so I was watching it, and I'm like, I'm a fan of Casey Tyndall, and her whole little crew that she runs around with, and follow them on Instagram and stuff, and I heard this song, and man, I could just relate to it so much.
Right.
Just because, like coming from that broken home, kind of that whole background like that, there's certain songs you hear and you're like, wow, it's on a different level. And we were at a spot at Live Oak, or at a round at Live Oak not too long ago, and I heard her play it there. And then we went to Whiskey Jam the other night, and she played it again there. And it was like, she tried out a new one. And then she played Middleman, and then right after that, she followed up with Jesus and Joan Jett, and it's like, Jesus, man. But I loved, just her sound, everything. She's really got a good sound, and she just kind of that cool rocker chick, but she's like country at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe I kind of get from her, and I'm like, it's cool, man. It really works. So, but that song, whole different level, is Middleman. It's a slow, one of those ballady style songs, and you really feel something with it. And some people can relate to it, some people can't, but I mean, I can, and that's one of those I looked at and I was like, man, like, I wish I would have wrote that. Yeah, because that's just, it's a special song for sure.
And the unusual thing about that question, a lot of people will come up with, just stuff that, he stopped loving her today.
The generic song or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, I hate to call it generic, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's something everybody knows, so it's kind of a recognizable song.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Keith Whitley, Don't Close Your Eyes, and all kinds of stuff. And but the ones that I really enjoy, like, just like you, just those that are not top of the mind, so to speak. You have to be a true fan in order to understand the song. Yeah,
absolutely. I definitely think that, because I've been asked that question just by friends before. Like, man, I heard this song the other day, and I wish I would have, they say that, I wish I would have wrote that one. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is that song. Is like, man, that's the one that I wish I would have written. The first thing that comes to mind. So.
Right. So when we've talked about some places in Nashville. What is your favorite venue to play?
Man, we've played a couple of them. And it might not even be in Nashville, quite frankly.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a spot back home that they used to, like, the people used to turn, like, they would come out, they would show up big time, and it was this little place that I used to play, and it was even more just it was a smaller acoustic set still, man, right. But people, it didn't matter if it was a Monday, a Thursday, a Saturday night, people showed up, and I loved it so much. It was this place, it was called the Cork and Barrel, that was back home, and they had their little outside venue there, and I would, kind of text that base of people, or I would promote it on Instagram or Facebook or social media, wherever it was at. And I used to, do that. But then a couple people would tell a couple more people, a couple people would tell a couple more people, and they would just show up. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's kind of cool. Right. Word of mouth is still the best advertisement, obviously. But man, it was just the energy and vibe there, just overall, it was just really cool. And, so it was a lot of fun. I think that would probably be one. I mean, I played a couple of the rounds around here, and obviously, they're just the energy's there for those as well. But it's a little different when it's people that that are. I think you're seeing these faces in the crowd, and you're like, I know that person, I know this person, and then it's mixed in with other people that you don't know, and everybody's kind of on the same level, and it's like, that's cool. That's a really cool feeling.
Right. So do you? I mean, I'll just ask this as a question, and again, I've got my own opinion on it. Artists in Nashville, and I'm not going to say independent or A-list, whatever you want to call them, but do you feel like that they're supportive of those around, their peers, so to speak?
Yeah, and I think everybody kind of has their friend group, and that's so important to me as an artist, is to find a friend group that you really support. Like you say, and you can see it, and it's on different levels. Obviously, some people are, they've got a bigger fan base in certain, areas, or there's, like you said, it's an A level, B level, C level on down. But man, I think it's finding a good friend group, because, if I'm the type of person I'm going to support my friends, and I'm going to support people that maybe not even are not that I'm not close with, maybe just acquaintances with. But I feel like there is a certain, I guess, family style atmosphere that you have here in Nashville for the most part, and everybody's like, especially if you have a good song in your hands, and they're like, hey, that's a good one, and then they're going to share it, but. One of the big things, like I said, with me is just finding a good friend group and people who will support you, and I feel like I've really found that here in Nashville. I think I looked for it for the first couple of years that I was here, and it was, I thought that, I had some good people around me at the time, but you really figure it out whenever you do have that support system around you, and you're like, wow, this is what it's like. You know what I mean? Right. And that's just part of being in Nashville. You got to find yourself, and you got to just, do things and just trial and error, and take risks and hope they pay off. So right. I know that I support my friends, and I know that my friends support me, and I know they've got my back on the stuff that I'm putting out there. Like, I mean, Jake, the producer, he is one of my, best good friends, and I love Jake to death. His girlfriend Paige, she's an amazing songwriter, singer-songwriter here in Nashville too, and they're just great people. I could probably list off right now, for the sake of time I won't, probably 10 people right now that's in our friend group that, like, we all are just like, hey, let's write a song together, or let's play a song together. Hey, what do you got? What are you listening to? And just, we take different inspiration, and then we all sit back and have a beer together too. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
not, it's a little bit of work, a little bit of play, all mixed in there and having fun.
That's great, because like I said, I've seen it with artists. I mean, you go onto Instagram, social media now is like the tell-all for everybody.
Yeah.
You look at my social media, you see what I did this weekend, hanging a door for the basement that goes down the studio, stuff like that, But it kind of shares, what you do and that kind of stuff. But I feel like that, when you combine all those people, it's a little bit, it's better than social media. You might have 5 million followers, but those 5 million people don't know you like those 10. You
can't sit back and have those personal conversations with that's 5 million people. You can have those personal conversations with those 10. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here real quick, and this has become one of my favorite questions to ask, because I love to see the look on an artist's face when I ask this question.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay.
Let's see it.
We're going to jump ahead 5 years. Okay. In that 5 years, Ty Clark has released a song. It's got picked up by a label. It's doing phenomenal. And the label says, we're going to put you on a stadium tour, and you get to handpick your 2 openers. Who are your 2 openers going to be?
I think I just mentioned both of them. I gotta have a girl with me, and then I gotta have some guys with me too. So it's gonna be Paige McKenzie and probably Southern Justice. Both of them, and I could list off a whole, long list of them. Corey Wise, Michael Pace, Sammy Cannon, Fallon Schultz. Like those types of people. Like, I would love to have them with me there. And I've always had this really cool idea. So if we've got a second, I've always wanted to get a big group of friends like that and go on a big tour and do like a 3-4 hour concert, really give people the best bang for their buck there, and having all your friends and touring with all your friends like that, man, I think it'd be awesome. But that's just a dream right now. Maybe it may come to fruition later on.
Yeah, dreams have a way of becoming reality. And then the second part of that question is, who's the one artist that you would love to go on tour with and open for?
Man, probably it's probably gonna be Riley Green, Riley, or maybe Hardy, just because I love Hardy's music, man. But Riley Green, I feel like he'd be one of those guys you want to sit back and have a beer with. He's big, hunting and fishing and just outdoor type stuff, man. And that's the way that I was raised as well. And we both like country music, believe it or not. It's crazy.
Who'd have thunk it, right?
You're right. Yeah, exactly. But I think that would probably be somebody that I'd love to go on tour with. So that'd be really awesome.
I try not to, I've always been told from a radio side, you don't talk about washing your Corvette on the air because people will think you're making a lot of money. But I've been blessed in this business to meet a lot of people, and I have a great Riley Green story because Riley was actually hunting in southern Illinois, with deer hunting, and he came out of the woods. I was operations manager and was on the air at a radio station, country radio station. Came out of the woods and came to my radio station just to say hi.
Wow.
And we stood there and talked for 15,
awesome,
20
dude.
minutes. And I've got the picture to prove it. So,
dude, that's awesome. I think I saw that picture, man. I think I saw it. It was on your Instagram.
Yes.
I think I did see that.
And that's one of those things. I mean, he's such a down-to-earth, cool fella, man. I mean, he's like, hey, you want to come to a show? Here's my number. You shoot me a text. I'll make sure you get in,
What?
And
so you got Riley Green's phone number is what you're saying.
Well, I have his manager's phone number.
Oh, okay.
But that's all right. I'll take that. But, I mean, Riley's just a super cool guy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like Granger. I don't have Granger's direct line, but I have a direct line to him.
Yeah.
And same way with Riley, I've got a direct line to him. Plus his bass player, Alejandro, oh my gosh, that dude is just phenomenal.
So my buddy Jake that produced She's Like Louisiana is the one that's playing lead for Riley right now.
Really?
Jake Garner, yeah. So he's been awesome to. I mean, he was fortunate to get that gig. He did some stuff with Chris Jansen. He was he was teching for Brad Paisley for a bit, and then he got the opportunity to go on the road with Riley and was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And so he's been doing it, man. And you see it like there's a guy that takes their pictures. I'm going to say his name is like Sam or Samuel Crabtree or something like that. And you see Jake and you see our other buddy Charlie Diaz that fills in for him sometimes too. And up on stage, man, just living the dream. Looks like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I had the opportunity to be on stage in front of about 7,000 people at a show one time. And standing there looking out over those people is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this dude, and I'm not going to say a name or anything like that, but it was a major artist. And I'm thinking, he does this every night. He's leaving here. He's going to Minnesota tomorrow. Yep. And then the day after that, he's going to be in, North Dakota, South Dakota. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. That's a crazy lifestyle, man. Yeah. From what I hear anyway. I mean, I see it and I'm just like, man, it would be so much fun because I love the road just in general. Like I said, I learned that as early as a kid, like I was saying earlier, but I think it'd be a heck of a life to live for sure. Yeah.
I'm good as long as I don't have to drive.
Right? Yeah, that's me too. I like when somebody else does the driving.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of driving 1,000 miles.
Yeah, we'll hire somebody for that for sure.
There you go. But Ty, give them real quick like where they can find you. I've kind of got down. That's your Instagram handle down there underneath you there, and I think that's pretty much everywhere, and that Facebook as well and stuff.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get Ty Clark music, not have to fight somebody else for it or put any numbers behind it. So, yeah, it's Ty Clark music. It's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok wannabe. So it's Ty Clark music there too. You can. It's on all streaming platforms as well. She's
Awesome.
Like Louisiana's out there, and you can it's just Ty Clark, TyClark, and Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, every single one you can think of. So it's all out there.
That is phenomenal, man. I'm grateful. Like I said, I love the song, and if you want to go check Ty out, by all means, do that. Go check out his music and check out his socials, and hopefully before long, things are starting to break open a little bit. Although there was a major announcement came out from Kenny Chesney today of pushing his tour back to next year.
Yeah.
And, but I still think, a lot of good local music's coming out. The big tours may not be happening, but the guys like you and Southern Justice and some of these others, are doing their thing as best they can.
Absolutely.
And, the big thing is I always tell them, you guys just stay safe, and, hopefully, Lord willing, we'll be out of this before long.
Yeah, man. We're all, I think we're all kind of praying and keeping our fingers crossed that, we can get back out there and start doing this all more.
Yeah, I know you're as tired of playing as I am tired of not getting to see guys like you play.
Right.
Not playing, let me say that. I said that.
Right, yeah. I got your meaning.
But, it's like, man, just go check Ty out. He's got the song, She's Like Louisiana. Now, I'm trying to think on the Spotify. I did look at it today, and I apologize. I usually do before I do an interview. Aren't there a couple more songs that you have on there?
So there's one that I released back in, I think it was 2018, 2019. It's called Right Road Now. So it's those two that are up there right now. I had an acoustic EP that was up for a bit, and then just in doing a rebranding sort of type thing here as of lately, within the last probably year and a half or so. I got that down. You can still find some of that stuff. There's like some work tapes type stuff that's Reverb Nation. Just kind of, I put those out there. I put those songs there as sometimes as testers to see on Reverb Nation. Say, oh well, if it starts getting some hits on it, I'll kind of go back to the drawing board. But that's the fun place to play around. But then the good studio quality stuff is going out on all the streaming platforms, and that's Right Road Now, and then there is obviously She's Like Louisiana as well. So
all right, so go check Ty out, all the platforms, whether it's streaming, social media. Drop him a line, tell him hi. He handles his own social media. He's still down to earth in that aspect.
Yeah.
And like a lot of us are, but he, drop him a message and say hi. Oh wow, we've got somebody from Brazil on here. Holy cow!
Oh man,
I've not had that happen before, but I'll take it.
I love it, man.
But it's Ty Clark Music. Go check him out. And again, I'll say this about the podcast: we're everywhere you can find Ty, except on iHeart. I'm not on iHeart, but I am on. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts, and generally, it's taking about 2 to 3 weeks before I get the audio up because I'm so backlogged right now with the videos. Trying to get them done. So hopefully I'll start getting all those pushed out. I don't want to push them all out at one time because it kills my numbers when I do that. But, and it doesn't help you. And that's my goal. When I say my numbers, it's not for me. I'm trying to help the artists.
Yeah,
I want you guys to get discovered. So, but go
I certainly
check them out.
appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. I know you're a busy fella. And it's been great talking to you and hanging out, technical difficulties aside. But you know what? We got through them, so we're all good to go.
Exactly.
So, and again, Ty Clark Music. Go check him out wherever you can. And this is b4Nashville. It's been powered by Go-Go Tuners. They're the go-to tuner for pros and amateurs alike. Check them out. Great tuners. They've got the headstock tuners. They've got pedal tuners. And they're phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. GoGoTuners.com. Again, Ty Clark, thanks, Ty, for coming on. And we'll see you next time. It's Before
Thanks,
Nashville.
Ben.
I don't know if we're still on. It's trying to shut down. So
It looks like it.
I'll just do this as we're going out. How's that?
Do what? Okay, there we go.
I'll just play the song as we're going out.
Let's rock and roll with it, man. Sounds good.
I've seen flat land of the hills of Tennessee. Nothing can compare quite a lot to the way she looks to me. From the banks of Carolina on out to the West Coast, there's a whisper down in my soul, keeps bringing me back home. She's like Louisiana, tastes